Greetings, welcome to this lesson. This is a biology presentation where we are just going to look at the introduction to biology, where we will also look at the characteristics of living things, and we'll also try to answer a question from the past paper. Okay, so what is this biology? How can we define biology? Biology is defined as the study of living things. Biology is defined as the study of living things or organisms. So that is the biology. Basically, bio means life. Then log means study. So biology is basically the study of living organisms. Right. For us to clearly understand biology, we need also to take note that there are branches of biology. We have botany, which is the study of plants. We have zoology, the study of animals. We have ecology, the study of interaction of organisms with each other and their non-living environment. We also have biochemistry. Biochemistry is simply the study of chemical reactions that occur in living organisms. And lastly, we have entomology, which is the study of insects. So these are the branches of biology. So now we are going to look at the characteristics of living things. So now, since biology itself is a study of life, so now what are the characteristics of living things? Okay, so the characteristics of living things can be summarized by this mnemonic word, which is Mr. Graphic. So Mr. Graphic is a mnemonic word that will help us to remember the characteristics of living things, or rather living organisms. Right, so this is the characteristics of living organisms. So living organisms, they are able to move, they are able to reproduce, grow, respire, excrete, feed, irritability, sensitivity, as well as they have cells. Okay, so now when you look at this movement, so now all living organisms, they are able to move, they are able to change their posture. So all living organisms, they are able to move from one place to another. All right, so when you look at reproduction, in simpler terms, this is just a process by which living organisms produce their young ones. These young ones are called offsprings. And basically, there are two types of reproduction. We have what we call asexual reproduction and also sexual reproduction. When you look at sexual reproduction, this one, offsprings are produced by fusion, meaning it involves the male gametes and the female gametes, where they join to give us offsprings. So now we'll have the male sperm, which is the male gamete, which will also fuse in with the female gamete, which is the ovum, to produce an offspring. Okay, so now when you look at the asexual reproduction, the offsprings produced basically from one parent, and this one does not involve gametes. Okay, so let's look at the other one, which is growth. What is growth? So all living organisms, they need to grow. So growth is defined as the permanent increase in size, of course, body mass, and also the number of cells. So as living organisms, we have to grow. Okay, let's look at the other one, which is the respiration. Respiration. So this is basically the release of energy from food. This happens inside the cell. So now when you look at respiration, basically we have two types of respiration. There's what we call as aerobic respiration, and there's what we call anaerobic respiration. Okay, so I will go into details in the other topics which we are yet to cover. Excretion. Excretion, all living organism must excrete. As long as you are a living organism, you need to excrete. Excretion, this is just the removal of toxic metabolic waste products. These products, they are not wanted. That's why we need to remove them. That is the excretion. All right, so we have the feeding or nutrition, this one here. So this is basically just the process by which living organisms obtain food. That is what feeding is. And when you look at nutrition, we have two types of feeding nutrition. We have what we call as the autotrophic nutrition, and we have what we call as the heterotrophic nutrition. So these are types of nutrition. Not to forget, we have saprophytic nutrition. Okay, the other one there we have irritability or sensitivity. So this is just the ability to detect and respond to stimuli. That is the sensitivity. You are sensitive. You need to be sensitive if you are a living organism. All right, the last one there we have cells. Basically, cells, these are just the basic fundamental units of living organisms. These are the basic fundamental units of living organisms. That is what a cell is. So now we are saying, as long as you are a living organism, you are supposed to possess all these characteristics. So these are the characteristics of all the living organisms. Right. So we need also to understand that there are a lot of chemical reaction that takes place, and this we call them as metabolic reaction, or rather metabolism. What is this metabolism? So metabolism, this is just the sum total of chemical reaction that take place inside living cells. And when you look at the metabolism, there are basically two types of metabolic reaction. We have what we call as anabolic reaction, and also there is a catabolic reaction. Okay, what is this anabolic reaction? So anabolic reaction, these are metabolic reactions where a large and complex molecule are synthesized, or they are built from small and simple molecules. For instance, we have photosynthesis. So this is how anabolic reaction uh, happens. So we have simple, these are small molecules which are going to build up to give us a large molecule. So these small molecules, they are going to build up to give us a large complex molecule. So this is called the anabolic reaction. Right, we also have what we call as the catabolic reaction. And these are just metabolic reactions where large complex molecules are broken down to simpler molecules. For example, we have respiration. Respiration is an example of a catabolic reaction. So all metabolic reactions are catalyzed by an enzyme, and basically enzymes, these are just the biological catalysts. All right, so let's proceed. So this is just the illustration to show how a catabolic reaction takes place. So as we can see here, we have a large molecule. This large molecule will be broken down to give us this simpler molecule. Okay, so let us also go through this question together. This is a past paper question, 2025, paper 2, November. So figure 1 illustrates examples of characteristics of living things. So we have F here, we have F, we have G, and also we have H. Alright, so this question is basically coming from the topic that we're just from covering, which is the characteristics of living things under the introduction of biology. Alright, so which diagram in this figure illustrates growth. When we are looking at the characteristics of living things, we said that growth is just the permanent increase in size as well as body mass. So if you look here, we have birth, then we have 2.5 years, and then we have 5 years. So there is something which is happening here. There is a change which is taking place here. So now the one which depicts growth is H. H is the one that is showing growth. All right, so reproduction. Remember reproduction, we said this is just the process where offsprings are produced. Offsprings are produced. How are they produced? For instance, when you look at sexual reproduction, where the male gametes and the female gametes fuse in to produce a zygote. So this is the so now which diagram here, which figure here is depicting reproduction? So we have F. F, as we can see, there is a fetus growing inside here. So this is reproduction. This is called the sexual reproduction. The one that depicts nutrition, it is G. That is our answer. All right, name two other characteristics of living things that are not illustrated. So always remember Mr. Griffith. Always remember the mnemonic word, which is Mr. Griffith. So now the two other characteristics which are not illustrated above there, which ones are we going to mention here? So we can look at excretion is not here. Respiration is also not here. Cells is also not here, as well as movement is not here. So you can pick any of those answers. State two components of life processes which make up metabolism. So the two life processes that we have anabolic reaction, and also we have a catabolic reaction. All right. Give one example of a living thing. So thing, you can either say plants or animals. Both plants and animals, they are living organisms, or rather living things. What of a non-living organism? So we can look here, we can depict of a stone, or rather a building. Yeah, these are non-living organisms. Okay, thank you for watching this lesson. Make sure that you share, like, and also follow us for more videos. Thank you.